In the first video of this series, we proved that Celsius Holdings has evolved into a massive three-headed beverage platform controlling 21% of the US market. But great brands and multi-million dollar distribution networks mean absolutely nothing if you don't have the killers at the top to execute. The absolute biggest mistake that growth investors make is only analyzing the spreadsheets without analyzing the people who fill them out. Today, we're putting the core leadership team at Celsius under the microscope. We'll check out the compensation structure that legally bars them from getting paid unless they generate massive shareholder returns. And we'll look at the heavy institutional backing that proves Wall Street's smart money is already locked in. Celsius Holdings has been around for quite some time. They started back in 2004, and for a very long time, they were actually a failing business as they started out as a calorie burning thermogenic beverage. Over the years, they have evolved, and then after failing for years and on the brink of collapse, Celsius was able to turn it around and has been on an upward trajectory ever since. And it's largely due to the CEO, John Fieldly, who took over in 2018. Before then, he had been at Celsius for quite some time. He previously was the CFO from 2012 to 2017. When looking at leadership, having leaders who have been at the company for a long time is a benefit because think of yourself when you're at your corporate job. Think of how long it takes you to fully understand the company, the departments, what products you're selling, what your customers want, what's working, what's not working. To have a CEO who's been here for years is a huge advantage because it's not someone coming in who has to learn the company and the products and start from ground zero. And since John took over as CEO, the proof is in the numbers. If you look at back in 2018 to now, an over 4,600% increase in revenue. Insane. He took them from a little over $50 million a year to this year they're projected to be over $3 billion. There's a reason why he's been in the CEO position for over 8 years now. When you can grow a company's revenue 4,600% in less than a decade, you're bound to stay in that role. Up next, Eric, the COO. He joined the company a little over 1 year ago, and previous to that, 27 years of experience in the food and beverage industry. He previously, for that time frame, was at PepsiCo. So when you're looking at other leaders, besides the benefit of having someone who's been at the company for a long time, the other thing you'd want to look for is someone who's been in the same industry for a long time as well. And the reason being is it takes a long time to understand the industry, understand what works, what doesn't, build different relationships with different customers in that specific industry. And the other positive thing that he has is the previous company he was at was PepsiCo. As we know, Celsius and PepsiCo have a very key partnership right now where Celsius is relying on Pepsi to really expand their distribution and help them get on more shelves. Having their COO be someone who had 27 years of experience at that company, he's going to have key relationships to help push the Celsius brand further. Now, with the good, you also got to identify anything that might be not good. So, one thing that's interesting, if we look at his past experience at Pepsi, so he was leading the energy drinks department between 2020 and 2022. And this was the time when Pepsi acquired Rockstar Energy Drinks and tried to grow the brand themselves. And well, during that time frame, what did we see happen? Unfortunately, before Pepsi acquired Rockstar, they were a dominant number three player in the energy drink market, holding about 14% market share. And after Pepsi had them up until they sold it to Celsius, that market share dropped all the way down to 4%. So, ouch. That's not something that would be proud for you to be leading that sector. But it's not all his fault. At this time frame, this is when Celsius and other like clean energy brands were on the rise. So naturally, the market share was probably already coming down. But this is something that we notice across energy drink area as a whole. Both Pepsi and Coca-Cola have tried to start their own energy drink brands, and both have largely failed over the past decade, with Coca-Cola pivoting to just taking a huge stake in Monster Beverage to represent their energy drink area. Same thing Pepsi's doing with Celsius. All right, moving on. I'm gonna try to breeze through them. We got a handful more execs to do. I'll just hit the high levels. So, CFO Jarrett started with Celsius in 2022, and since he's joined there, he's increased the revenue by more than 300%. And we can see prior to Celsius, what's the thing that we're gonna hopefully consistently see with all these execs? Beverage industry experience. Hopping over to Garrett, who's leading the international sector of Celsius. So, one of the opportunities that we'll talk about in a future video for the future for Celsius is their international opportunity. They're largely just getting into it now. So, the expansion and growth opportunity is enormous. And after reading more about Garrett and his past, I don't think there's a better person to be driving that for Celsius. He brings 25 years of leadership experience from Pepsi, where he previously managed relationships with franchise bottlers across 120 markets. So this guy was already running huge international success with Pepsi. So he's coming over to Celsius, going to bring all those relationships that he's had in several different countries as he's looking to expand Celsius. That's a huge advantage. And when checking through his LinkedIn, one thing that really stood out is one of his roles back in 2019 to 2021 during the COVID timeframe when just all around craziness was happening, he gained or held share in 100% of the markets that he represented. And the bullet up above looks like he had 42 markets. Very impressive. Going over to Brant. He joined in 2023 and similar story to the other execs. Previous to that, 25 years at Keurig Dr. Pepper. So when you think of the beverage giants in the industry, you think of Coca-Cola, you think of PepsiCo, and you think of Keurig Dr. Pepper. Next, Toby, the chief of staff. This guy's the one responsible for managing day-to-day operations. You'll oftentimes hear him on different earnings calls as well as different analyst day calls, and he joined in 2013. So similar to John, he's seen them when they were on the brink of collapse back in the early days, as well as the turnaround and the whole growth trajectory they've been on. Next up, Joe Beth, Chief Creative Officer. So she just came over to Celsius as part of the Alani Nu acquisition last year. So she's going to oversee the brand studio across three brands. So she spent nearly 6 years at Alani Nu. She joined in the early days and she helped turn it from just a cult hit into a national favorite. She also has worked to shape the creative vision for other viral consumer brands such as Prime Hydration and Lunchly. So this is someone with a huge history of driving massive brands to huge brand loyalty measures. This will be a vital piece to drive in Celsius Holdings to that next level. Next up, Tony, Chief Commercial Officer. So he'll be helping to shape and execute the Celsius three brand strategy. He joined a few years back in 2020. Previous to that, he had 11 years experience as president of sales for Rockstar Energy Drinks, where he grew the brand to become the third largest in the category. So remember when we talked previously where Pepsi bought Rockstar? Well, they bought them in 2020. So before that, Tony was leading that charge that got them to that huge 14% market share. So before that huge pullback in the market share, he left Rockstar and hopped over to Celsius. Doubt him leaving was the reason Rockstar lost so much share, but definitely a good guy to have at Celsius to help reignite the Rockstar brand. And last up, Paul, Chief Supply Chain Officer. So he joined in 2021, and same as the other executives, he's been in the beverage industry for a very long time, 30 years, and he's had previous experience at Monster Energy, Rockstar Energy, and then Nestle, Coca-Cola, and Cott. So overall, what did we see with the exec team in their past experience? They've been at Celsius either for a long time or they've been in the beverage industry as a whole for a very long time. And when I'm saying a long time, we're talking like multiple decades for most of these people. Now, next up, let's go ahead and look at the compensation alignment with the performance. So, this is important because you want to make sure the executive team is getting their equity compensation aligned with the performance of the company and the stock. So, when digging into it for Celsius, we can see that they follow a pay for performance. So, they believe that a good portion of their compensation should be at risk, which basically means that it's dependent on the performance, how much they get paid out for it, which is critical because you want your executives to be highly incentivized to drive the best performance possible so that us as shareholders can get the best return on our investment. So we can see that the CEO, 83% of his target total for compensation is falling under this like at risk pay for performance area. And if we're looking at their payout, 75% have to align with different financial goals that they have. And how this works is each year they have a threshold, a target, and a stretch performance level. And based on how close they get to that, if they exceed or they miss it, that determines the payout if they get it. If they get less than 80% of that target, they don't get anything. So for that 75%, we can see it split amongst revenue, gross profit, and adjusted EBITDA. And just looking at last year as an example, and we can see for these three categories, two of them easily exceeded the max payout 150%. And then the revenue item, they just missed it by a few, but overall, they got 150% of the target because of how much they excelled. So, from a shareholder, you should be absolutely okay with them getting huge equity payouts, even 150% of their target, because they have to exceed goals that are going to drive the company forward. And when the company drives forward from a fundamental basis, the stock price will eventually reflect it, even if in the short term, different things outside the control are pulling down the stock price. Next up, let's check insider buys and sells. So as we can see, the executives, they do get paid out based on, as we saw, performance. So you'll see a lot of grants or awards happen as well as automatic tax withholdings because when they get those payments, that's treated as regular income. So they have to pay taxes on that. So there always going to be a percent that gets sold. But one of the huge things that we're seeing recently is these open market purchases by the CEO and COO. These are additional purchases that they're making with their own money. So these are outside of the different equity packages that they're getting paid. So this is them saying, hey, what I'm getting, even as my stock options, is not enough. The company's at such a discount, and we know the growth trajectory that we're on, that we're putting up more money. And both of them, they spent over $200,000 recently and bought when the stock's been under $30. That is a huge bullish indicator. Next, let's look at the track record of beats and misses for revenue as well as EPS. So this is important to see because you want to see a leadership team that's consistently beaten estimates. So that way, when you see estimates, you can be confident that they're going to either meet those or exceed them. And what we're seeing for revenue is, for the most part, over the past couple of years, they are beating them, but there are a couple misses. So a little bit of a mixed bag, but largely a positive sign. Now, in EPS, I would say this is a very mixed bag here. So, a little bit of unknowns, but as we saw, they've kind of flipped to profitability, then went unprofitable, then profitable, then unprofitable. So, they've kind of been flipping back and forth. And they just did acquisitions recently, which would drag down the EPS numbers temporarily. So, let's continue to monitor this over the coming quarters and years and see if they can get into a more consistent growth as well as a more consistent trend of beating estimates. Now, last up, let's look at the institutional ownership. So, what we see here is institutions hold about 65% of the shares. So, this is kind of what you think of like the big money, smart money, whatever you want to call them, is doing. So, what we're seeing here is they're confident in the future growth of Celsius here by they're holding a large percent of the company. If we were seeing very low percent, then that would represent that they're not confident. And if the percent was up at like 90, 95%, that would just mean that we could have limited upside because institutions are already holding so much of the shares that it could be hard to have a lot of that big money coming in to start really driving up momentum for future growth. When you look past the daily stock charts and actually analyze the people running this company, the picture, it becomes clear. Celsius Holdings isn't a speculative meme stock run by just hype artists. It's a structurally aligned machine led by big beverage veterans with millions of dollars of their own skin in the game. They're hidden operational milestones because their personal net worths depend on it. And that's exactly the kind of alignment that we need to see to justify our $100 price target. But having the right brands and an elite management team is only half the battle. To truly dominate the long term, a company has to protect its turf and expand into new territory. If you want to build an unshakable conviction, you cannot skip the opportunities and risks. Click down here to subscribe so you don't miss part 3. Also, check out part 1. It'll be somewhere up here if you missed the brand breakdown. And until then, I'll see you in the next deep dive.